pressing softly against her mind. Shadows she could no longer outrun. Yet beside her, Marco slept peacefully, unaware of the storm she carried inside. She watched him for a moment, tracing the line of his jaw, the curve of his lips, the way his hand rested across the thick blanket. Even in exhaustion, even in fear, he was his anchor. The thought steadied her. Finally, she whispered, "Marco." He stirred and opened his eyes, immediately sensing the tension in her voice. "What is it?" he said. "I've been thinking," she said, her fingers fidgeting over the edge of the blanket. "About home, about the past, about what comes next." He sat up, concern etched on his face. "Whatever it is, we'll face it. Together, you know that, right?" Amina nodded, swallowing hard. "I know, but I also know we can't stay here forever. There are decisions we've been avoiding. About us, about life, about what, about who we want to become." Marco reached for her hand. "Then let's decide, one step at a time, together." They ate a quiet breakfast of bread and tea, their minds heavy with unspoken questions. Afterwards, they gathered their things and stepped outside into the crisp morning air. The streets of the town were waking. Merchants called out their prices. Children ran past laughing, and the aroma of fresh bread drifted from bakeries. But to Amina and Marco, everything felt sharper, as if the world was testing them, reminding them that the freedom they had was that the freedom they had fought for carried responsibilities and consequences. They walked hand in hand to a small park overlooking the town. Sitting on the bench, they watched the distant hills and the rooftops, the same ones that had seemed inviting in the past, but now felt like part of the uncertainty surrounding them. "I have realized something," Amina said, with her voice quiet but steady. "Freedom isn't about leaving home. Freedom isn't about escaping. It's about choosing the life you want, even when it scares you." Marco nodded, lightly squeezing her hand. "And the life we want is together, no matter where we go, what obstacles appear, or who tries to stop us. We face it all together." Amina leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling both the weight of fear and the comfort of certainty. The path ahead was unclear, full of challenges and shadows, but for the first time, she felt a small, steady pulse of hope. The next step," she whispered, "we have to take it carefully, but we take it together." Marco kissed her forehead. "Together," he said. Outside the town past with ordinary life, unaware that two hearts were quietly preparing to cross a threshold that would change everything. As as they sat in the sunlight, the horizon ahead seemed less frightening, less uncertain, because they had each other. Part 2. The morning faded into afternoon, and Amina and Marco walked through the town, seeking opportunities that might secure a more stable life. Each step, each step felt deliberate, measured, yet the world around them reminded them that safety was never guaranteed. Marco had found a longer-term position at the electronic shop, giving them a small but steady income. Amina had settled into the cafe, her confidence growing with every interaction. Yet, even with work, bills, and routines, the shadows of the past lingered. Every letter she received from home, every whispered rumor she overheard in the streets, reminded her that her family's disapproval still existed, and with it, the potential for confrontation. As they paused in their fountain in the town square, Amina let herself speak freely. Do you ever think about what we left behind? Not just family, but everything we thought our life would be. Marco watched the water ripple under the sunlight, then turned to her. I think about it all the time, but I also know we cannot go back. That life doesn't exist for us anymore. We have to keep moving forward, no matter how hard it is. Amina nodded her head, swallowing a lump in her throat. I know, but sometimes it feels like running is all we do. We always try to stay ahead of something, of someone. We are not running, Marco said firmly. We are building. Every day we work, every meal we earn, every moment we survive together. We are building a life that belongs to us. That is not running. That is choosing. They sat by the fountain for a long time, letting the quiet and the distant laughter of children fill the gaps of their fear. Amina reached into her bag and pulled out her notebook. She opened it to a blank page and began to write, her pen trembling at first, but then flowing more freely. We are crossing a line, not away from the past, but towards something unknown. The world is uncertain, and love is fragile, but it is ours. We have chosen each other, and that choice is the anchor in the tide of everything else. Marco leaned over her shoulder, reading the words silently. That's exactly what I feel. No one can take that from us. The late afternoon sun warmed their faces as they planned for the day. As they planned for the days ahead, they discussed ways to save money, to find safer routes through the town, and even small dreams, a place of their own, a quiet night without fear, mornings that didn't carry tension. Yet, as the shadows lengthened, Amina felt the old fear creep back. She thought of her family, her friends, the life she had left behind. Would they ever forgive her? Could she ever forgive herself for choosing a life so uncertain, so difficult over the one that had been carefully planned for her? Marco sensed. Marco sensed her hesitation. Whatever happens, he said, taking her hand, we'll face it together. The past may follow, but it will never define us. Only we define our life. Amina rested her hand on his shoulder again, letting the warmth and uncertainty of his presence quiet the storm inside her. The fountain's water glimmered in the evening's light, and for the first time in months, the world felt slightly less threatening. Not safe, not perfect, but manageable. And for them, that was enough. Part 3. The evening descended slowly, painting the town in shades of gold and shadow. Amina and Marco returned to their small room, tired but filled with a cautious sense of hope. The day had been long, the work was exhausting, but for the first time, it felt like they were building something lasting, something that belonged to them. They sat together on the edge of the bed, sharing a small meal, bread, cheese, a few vegetables, simple yet ready enough to remind them that they could survive, that they could thrive. Amina spoke quietly, her eyes fixed on the flickering light of a single candle. I've been thinking about home, about freedom, about everything we've gone through. I realize now that freedom isn't just about living, it's about choosing a life, even when it's hard, choosing each other every single day. Marco nodded, brushing a strand of her hair from her face. We have chosen, we have chosen each other, and that choice is stronger than any other fear, stronger than the past, stronger than uncertainty. We've built our bridge, Amina. Step by step, we've crossed it together. She smiled faintly, tears threatening to spill. Step by step, yes, it hasn't been easy, and I know there will be more challenges. But for the first time, I feel like we are really living, not hiding, not running, but living. Marco took her hands in his and held them tightly. The past will always exist. There will always be shadows, doubts, person, people who don't understand us. But what we've built together is ours. That's what matters. That's our life. They spent the night talking quietly, planning their future with a mix of caution and hope. Every word but it's no longer with them. As they finally lay down to sleep, Amina rested her head on Marco's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeats. It was a sound that reminded her that she was not alone, that even in uncertainty, they could find strength. Outside, the town was quiet. The streets, the alleys, the rooftops, everything seemed ordinary. But inside their small room, two lives intertwined. They had become extraordinary. They had faced fear, distance, and doubt. They had left behind everything familiar to forge their own path. And now, for the first time, the future felt like something they could shape. Marco whispered softly, "Tomorrow we keep building together." Amina closing her eyes. Amina smiled, closing her eyes. Together, and as the sleep